Phillips and my man right here, Chris Henry from Moxie Properties. We're coming to you live right now. We have been traveling, teaching a couple courses on probate. We're in the Portland area. Wanted to do a really quick video and just talk about the importance of being protected and some misconceptions that people have about what a will do, and kind of just a little bit of understanding of what happens when you don't have a living trust. Chris?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We've been teaching classes this past week to other fellow real estate agents throughout the Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest misconception that a lot of people have, not only real estate agents, but just the general public,
mm-hmm.
is they say, oh, I have a will. That avoids probate. And that's the number one misconception out there, which is not true at all. A will is actually the item that's accepted into that probate court to be probated.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge misconception. The biggest problem, at least in my opinion, but the biggest problem with that is there's a huge difference in pricing or cost to the estate versus having a living trust, which might be down here, and the cost of probate, which is exponentially more expensive. So it's a huge cost against the estate if somebody just has a will.
Sure.
And they think they're covered and it's not going to go through probate, which is not true. It will still go through probate.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because I come from a military background, just a Navy vet, and one of the things that they made sure that everybody who came in the service was going to deploy, they were like, yeah, get your will done, get your power of attorney done. And I always thought, oh man, that's all I need. I'm covered. If I die, everything is good.
Which is
power of attorney.
Right. And that's common. I feel like most people will have that same information that's brought to them, so they don't even consider something like a living trust, which is the number one way to avoid probate. It's the best way to avoid probate is by having a living trust created for you.
That just kind of makes me a little bit curious, because we're just putting out information here. This is definitely not legal advice, but just curiously, how many people in the United States actually even have a living trust?
So nationwide, and this can vary state by state and county by county.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it depends on either level of education, sometimes monetary assets. But in our country, it's 95% of people in our country do not have a living trust.
Wow.
So they end up going through probate.
So you're saying only 5% of people actually have them?
Only 5% of people in our country have a living trust.
Wow.
So it's a crazy number. But again, I think that comes back to people saying, "Oh, I have a will. I don't need to worry about it."
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, they do. They do need to worry about it, because a will is not going to circumvent or avoid the probate process.
But what do you say to those people that say, "Well, I only have a house, or I don't have any.
Yep.
I'm not rich. I'm not passing on. I don't have a lot of."
Sure. Well, the bottom line is every state generally has some kind of threshold that says, okay, if your estate is not worth more than this amount. So we're here in Portland, Oregon. As of today, right now, their threshold is $275,000.
Mm.
If $200,000 in real estate or more than that is going to go through the probate process. Full-blown probate, very costly, very expensive, attorneys involved, etc. If it's less than that, then it's a much simpler probate. So it probably depends state by state on what that threshold is, on whether they should get that living trust.
Mm.
So most states, that threshold or that number might be as low as 50,000, 75,000. And therefore, if somebody has real estate that's worth more than that, it's definitely in their best interest to go get that living trust.
Absolutely. And just thinking like Southern California, San Diego area, I mean, the average house is, 550 to 600,000. So
yeah, at that point, definitely get that living trust.
Yeah, definitely have a living trust. As they say, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know, we can touch on this very briefly, but in California, where we both specialize in probate, trust, and estate settlement matters, they have an actual set schedule or fee schedule for attorneys,
mm-hmm.
that good old 4321. And that's based on the total or gross value of the estate. So very briefly, I'll just share it with people so they have an idea of how much the probate process can cost them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to cost them 4% against the first $100,000 in value of their estate, 3% of the next 100,000, 2% of the next 800,000. So now we're up to $1 million,
mm-hmm.
and then 1% of up to the next, basically 9.9 million.
So if I'm understanding that correctly, it sounds like it can climb up pretty quick. So you're saying So of the first 100,000, that's 4%. So that's 4,000, right?
Right there.
Right there. So if the value of your estate is greater than that, then they get 3% of the next.
Of the next 100,000. So now we're at 7,000.
We're at 7,000
at least,
and that's only at 200,000. So, and now here's real quick. A lot of people don't have them, but what does it cost? What does it cost to have one?
It depends who the attorney is drawing it up, and it also depends on the number of assets in the estate. But generally speaking, it's about 800 to 3,000 in our neck of the woods. But the difference between spending 2,000, we'll say, versus 7,000, 15,000, 25,000 in probate, huge disparity. So it's still
absolutely
advisable to get that living trust done.
It's kind of one of those fees where those things that you get an opportunity to do, but I don't know what it is. Sometimes people think like, I'm not going to be, I'm planning to be alive a lot longer, and there's just times where they think that it gets put off and it doesn't get done. But we just wanted to educate you guys to make sure that we can clear up this misconception. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments. Wanted to come to you live and make sure we put this good information in front of you guys. Once again, this is Tracy Phillips with the Phillips Group, and we have Chris Henry here with Moxie Properties out of Los Angeles, coming to you live from Portland, Oregon. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Take care and stay blessed.
See you next time.
All right.